Hey, JJ baby, how you doing?
You know,
Sure. Hey, you know how we gave episode 8 to Ryan Johnson?
terrifying.
Tell me about it. We really dropped the ball on that one. But hey, that's why pencils have erasers, right? Speaking of which, we want to give you episode 9.
So giving, so thoughtful.
Hey, come on. Don't be like that. You can play your accordion at my son's bar mitzvah.
I would drop everything at any moment to get to do that.
Great. Knew we could count on you, babe.
And what do we feel this movie should be? About
3 movies in one. I keep it within 2.5 hours. People tend to buy more popcorn that way for some reason. We start Monday. Love you. Hello, Tannentinos, and welcome to another episode of Daniel Reviews, where I'm Daniel and I review. After The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, Disney broke the mold and brought us The Rise of Skywalker. There are other words to start a title with. And then, right there in the crawl, The Dead Speak, the Galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast. It's better than The Last Jedi, where the title started with The Last, and the crawl started with The First. But still, well, that's too much The for me. As before, I'm going to call spoilers now. 3, 2, 1. The Rise of Skywalker is less a movie and more a 101 course on how not to write a screenplay. We begin with everyone's favorite villain, Kylo Ren, now the supreme leader of the First Order, killing his way to a Sith Wayfinder, an artifact used to find the Sith world of Exegol, where he can locate the Emperor who somehow returned. In other words, he's doing exactly what the opening crawl said he was doing.
She is not who you think she is. Who is she?
Cut to Chewbacca. Rey is a Wookiee, apparently. Chewbacca and Finn play a game of holo chess while, along with Poe, they await some intel from an operative working for a First Order mole. Why didn't the mole just go himself instead of involving an accomplice in his treason, thereby increasing his risk of getting caught? He wants to remain anonymous. Ooh, a guessing game! Who could the mole be? Could it be the guy the First Order has been treating like crap for 2 movies now? The suspense is killing me! This is also the second scene in a row where they've talked about Rey without Rey being there. Rey is the Poochie of Star Wars. From here we cut to our first Rey scene in which she runs an obstacle course as part of her Jedi training. But just imagine if all the hopes for your military rested on someone who has not finished boot camp yet. That's basically what's happening here. The Falcon returns to base, Rey gets into a little pissing contest with Poe over damaged property. You're in a war, just be happy when everyone comes back alive. And Finn informs us that Poe is always in a bad mood. In this movie, that's pretty much true.
He's an asshole.
But up until this movie, he's been the picture of grace under pressure. Sure, he's disobeyed nonsensical orders and mutinied against unfit command, but he's done it all with a cool head. All in all, he's been the most optimistic go-getter in this entire trilogy. But for some reason, the writers decided he should spend this movie bickering with everyone. To a lesser extent, that also describes Finn, who will take any opportunity to snap at Poe. There isn't some underlying disagreement they're having. Apparently, the writers just did this because it's funny. Look how hard I'm laughing. All this finally results in Poe's infamous declaration,
"Somehow Palpatine returned."
but what I hate most about this scene is that it retcons the entire trilogy. Suddenly, Palpatine's been behind it the whole time. Did you like The Force Awakens? Too bad, that movie didn't matter now. Snoke wasn't the big bad, Palpatine was. Starkiller Base? A distraction from what Palpatine was really doing. I know JJ Abrams wanted this movie to be understandable to somebody who hadn't seen 7 or 8. But the way you do that is by giving just enough background information and then moving forward, not by declaring the first 2 movies null and void. Also in the intel is that the Emperor is building a fleet of Star Destroyers on the fabled Sith world of Exegol, the world chosen especially for the Sith, Sith's world. And I Sith you not, this movie thinks we are so stupid that we need 2 separate characters to explain to us that in order to kill the Emperor, they have to find the Emperor. And in order to find the Emperor, they have to find the planet that he's on.
If we want to stop him, We must find him. We must find Exegol.
Find Exegol. Find the Emperor.
Everybody got that?
Rey figures out that Luke was trying to locate a wayfinder using the ancient Jedi texts and decides to pick up where he left off. We get a decently enjoyable scene where most of the characters insist on going with her, and Rose Tico explains that Leia basically ordered her to stay out of the movie.
The General asked me to study the specs of old destroyers, so we can stop the fleet if you find it.
Caesar from Planet of the Apes welds Kylo Ren's helmet back together. And look, I don't have any insider info, this is just a feeling. I get the impression JJ did this out of spite. Ryan broke the helmet, well I'll put the helmet back together. Teach him to fuck with the 2J.
I sense unease about my appearance, General Hux.
Can't you just hear him screaming, say something about it, Ryan? Again, that's just my interpretation, but admit it does make the movie more fun.
They conjured legions of Star Destroyers.
This gentleman is our newest villain, General Pryde. Because if you don't have at least 4 villains, is it really a Star Wars movie? Pryde serves the role that Hux used to serve. He's the unrepentant villain who does the First Order's bidding without question. While it would have been stronger to keep Hux in that role, they've got something special in store for him. Taking on his own merits, Pryde is the best villain in the entire sequel trilogy. He doesn't have Kylo Ren's mood swings or the Hitler beating out of podium energy that Hux used to have. Instead, he's a character in the tradition of Grand Moff Tarkin and most of the Empire brass in the original trilogy. Cold, stoic, ruthless, and above all smart, he's what these movies have been sorely lacking, but the third movie is a little bit late to bring him into the picture. We get another mention of the mole, have you figured it out yet? And then join our heroes on the desert world of Pasaana, where pig children grow up to be Lovecraftian monstrosities. This is also where we get our first glimpse of C-3PO being treated like a friend.
This festival is known for both its colorful kites and its delectable sweets.
Isn't it annoying when people share things they know? And now is as good a time as any to mention that C-3PO no longer has a red arm. Why, you might ask? My bet is that Marvel already released the one-off C-3PO comic book that explains how he got the red arm in the first place, and the whole reason they ever gave him a red arm was so you would buy this comic book. What a transparent ploy. How dumb would you have to be to fall for...
She would be honored to know your family name too.
I don't have one. I'm just Rey.
I'm like Cher or Madonna. The stormtroopers find them immediately because this movie can't take any time to let something develop, and a mysterious figure shoots a trooper in the face. That figure turns out to be our old friend Lando Calrissian, whom I can't say as I'm happy to see here. This trilogy has done a poor job of treating legacy characters with respect. Han Solo went back to his Star Wars starting point. Leia turned into a scared rabbit, running away from every fight. And Luke... Do I even have to say it? But, to my surprise, they got one right with Lando. Good job, no notes. But I do have notes on pacing. All of this takes place within the first 30 minutes. If only these movies started with some expositional device that set the scene. Yeah, like that. It could have been one sentence explaining Palpatine's transmission, and then 2 sentences explaining that the Resistance is looking for the Wayfinder to locate him. Then the movie could start on this planet and take its time with something. Our intrepid heroes wind up sinking in quick gravel, and Finn has something he'd like to share with Rey, becoming completely engulfed before he can say it. The plot point comes back later when Poe asks Finn what it was, this time with Finn saying he won't tell Poe. Then it is never mentioned again. That's some A+ storytelling right there. Set up, nothing. They sink all the way through the quick gravel and fall through the rocky ceiling of a cavern, raising the question, why doesn't all the gravel fall in after them? And Rey finds the Sith dagger that Luke was looking for. It has an inscription in the ancient, forbidden language of the Sith. the Sith being from Mordor apparently, that reveals the location of the Wayfinder and only C-3PO can read. But there's a problem.
My programming forbids me from translating it.
Then why is he programmed to read it? What good is it to have someone who can speak a language but can't tell anyone what it says? It's a contrived, bullshit obstacle, but it does give Poe a chance to show what a good friend he is.
So you're telling us the one time we need you to talk, you can't?
He's an asshole.
The First Order captures Chewbacca, seizing the dagger, and then this happens.
That ought to do it. Thanks very much, Rey.
I don't want to be too hard on Rey because I feel like they are trying with her. They're showing us that she has a darkness inside her that scares her. We get scenes of her struggling with doubt, guilt, and fear. These things make her vulnerable and therefore a much more interesting character than she was in previous movies. The problem, as with The Force Awakens, is that she doesn't have any goal that her doubt, guilt, and fear keep her from accomplishing. The way to fix Rey is to give her that goal and give us some reason to believe she might not achieve it. That's what these movies never quite figured out. C-3PO explains that the dagger inscription is now stored in his memory bank, but the only way to extract it is through a risky procedure that'll make him forget pretty much everything. And his friends are immediately all for this idea. No discussion needed. Poe even mentions that he knows a black market droid smith on the planet Kijimi, and they're off. But they're followed, because of course they are. We meet Zori, who's an excuse to make an action figure. In-universe, she's an old friend of Poe's, who takes them to Poe's droidsmith friend, Babu Frick, whose name sounds like something you might utter after stepping on a nail in front of a 5-year-old. Seems like a lot of work when they could have just had C-3PO pilot the ship to where the Wayfinder is without telling anyone what the inscription says. By the way, if you're worried about C-3PO, don't be. Finn informs us that R2-D2 has his memories backed up, thus taking the stakes right out of this scene. He still needs a little bit of convincing, but ultimately he agrees to temporarily sacrifice himself for the mission. There's a lot to unpack in this scene. Let's start with Poe's line.
What are you doing there, 3PO?
First of all, it's bad writing. 3PO is obviously not doing anything. Second, it's a weird line reading. Listen to it without context and tell me what you think is going on.
What are you doing there, 3PO?
I don't know about you, but I would think C-3PO was getting fresh.
How dare you?
Now, that line is only in there so C-3PO can say,
Taking one last look, sir, at my friends.
but they could have avoided it simply by having him say, a moment, Babu, allow me to take one last look at my friends. Would have worked fine, but more importantly, why does he even see them as friends? They've been treating him like shit for the entire movie. Even Rey hasn't been that nice to him, and she was nice to a giant killer snake. He is taking one last look at people he's going to be better off not remembering. And after he makes this noble sacrifice, he goes right back to being comedy relief. His friends keep on treating him as an annoyance. He's not a martyr who practically brain damaged himself for the greater good. He's a fretting robot, getting on everybody's nerves and making us all laugh so hard. When it's time to restore his memory, it's just as easy as Finn says it'll be. For a good example of how to do sacrifice, let's look at a little 1984 movie called... I know what you're thinking, but the first one actually is pretty good. For what it is. Carrie Mahoney is a constant troublemaker with a police captain friend who helps keep him out of jail. But after one screw-up too many, the police captain gives him a choice.
Police Academy in jail.
Because who wouldn't want a guy like that carrying a badge and gun? The deal is, he can get kicked out, but he can't quit. If he quits, he goes to jail. Not wanting to be there, Mahoney makes it his mission to get kicked out, and he eventually succeeds by taking the blame for a fight he didn't start. Unfortunately, this is after he decides he does want to be there. He knows that taking the rap means he's out, but he does it anyway to protect his friend. Importantly, the movie takes the moment seriously. It gives it time to land instead of jumping to the next joke, and we feel the weight of the sacrifice. How bad have things gotten when a Star Wars movie needs a lesson from Police Academy? Those movies had great music though. I've long thought that music would go great over a Star Wars crawl.
I hope this was as much fun for you as it was for me.
Kylo's Star Destroyer appears in the sky above Babu Frick's shop, and Rey senses that Chewbacca is on board, explaining,
He must have been on a different transport.
"Yeah, must have." What I want to know is why she didn't sense that he wasn't on the transport she blew up. I know these movies were made on a compressed timeline, but why did they have to be? Star Wars fans waited 10 years for Episode 7 and 16 years for Episode 1. Did Lucasfilm really think we wouldn't give them a few months to work the kinks out of Episode 9? Using an Empire medallion that Zori gave Poe, they all sneak on board the Star Destroyer to rescue Chewbacca. I guess when you have this many plot points, some shortcuts are inevitable. In an unsurprising twist, it turns out
I'm the spy.
if you were betting on someone else, please tell me who in the comments because I can't imagine. Also unsurprising, the movie treats this like it's clever as Finn doesn't believe Poe figured it out.
I knew it!
No, you did not.
We all figured it out, JJ. With Hux's help, they rescue Chewbacca and escape. Not that they're grateful for the help. If you were expecting Hux to amount to anything in this trilogy, forget it. And they go to yet another planet where a large chunk of the second Death Star has fallen into the ocean. This hunk of junk houses the Wayfinder, which can be found using the Sith Dagger, or the Wayfinder Finder, if you will, as it's molded in such a way as to coincidentally line up with the Death Star 2 wreckage when you look at it from a specific angle. This is up there with the map to a person thing from Force Awakens. On this planet, we meet a colony of former stormtroopers who ride sheepdog horse boars. Okay, they look cool, it's fine. And this is where the movie really needs to linger, because unlike so many others, these characters are important later. We need to spend some time with them, learn how their society works, see them bonding with the protagonists. That way, the scene later where they ride their sheepdog horse boars across the hull of Pryde's Star Destroyer can feel triumphant. But since this planet is just one of a million bumpers this pinball of a movie bounces off of, that moment is just like, oh yeah, they're in this. The same thing with Zori. How many people do you think were rooting for her to join the final battle? How many do you think even remembered she was a character?
Every ship in the fleet
Has planet-killing weapons, of course they do. This is how he finishes.
Planet-killing weapons is how it finishes? That's awesome, because that's also how it started. And how it was in the middle. Rey has a nice moment with Luke's Force Ghost where he tells her she has everything she needs to find the Emperor. And he doesn't mean inner strength and a can-do attitude. He doesn't mean she can let the Force be her guide. No, he means Kylo Ren's Wayfinder. The inanimate object. There is no spiritual significance to the line. This is like he's handing her a map in a suitcase and saying, you have everything you need. Impactful. What if instead of that, to find Exegol, Rey had to get in touch with the darkness she's been so afraid of? What if she had to do something unthinkable, like betray the Resistance, because she knew that once she found the Emperor, she could help them? That would give Rey some much-needed dimension and add a layer of suspense to the climax. But no, it's the Wayfinder. Character development is hard. We have yet another meeting about the existential threat from the villains and how one good shot at one target will take out the whole thing. This fleet of Star Destroyers, it's a fourth Death Star. That control tower is the same as the exhaust port. And here's Rey looking like she's auditioning for a Tool video. I don't want to go too far into this scene because it's not all that different from the Return of the Jedi ending. Rey and Palpatine kill each other. Ben uses the Force to bring Rey back to life, because the Force can do that now. We get a little Reylo fan service, and then Ben dies. How much cocaine did it take to write this script? If you want a good Star Wars movie, The Rise of Skywalker can't help you.
That's for damn sure.
But if you want a bad movie night with your friends, brother, this will scratch that itch just as well as The Room, Troll 2, The Miami Connection, or any Neil Breen movie will. The nonsensical character choices, the pinball storytelling, the out-of-control pacing, all combine to make an experience that isn't good, but is entertainingly bad. In my Rogue One review, I said that wasn't the crown jewel of Disney Star Wars. What is? Well, this, from a certain point of view.
A certain point of view?
But from an unironic point of view, it's The Force Awakens. And that's it. I reviewed every Disney Star Wars movie. I'm free! Join me next time when I take a deeper look at the Stuart Gordon low-budget indie film Stuck. Fuck! How do you like The Rise of Skywalker? Is there anything you'd like to add to this review? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you've seen, please like and subscribe. If you'd like to be closer to the action, consider supporting us on Patreon. We offer a range of benefits, including behind-the-scenes access and blooper reels. Every little bit helps. And since we did Police Academy, I'll leave you with some Michael Winslow sound effects. You're welcome. See you next time.